Well, to say it's been an eventful week for the New York Jets would be an understatement. There truly is never a dull moment with this organization. And I've had a lot of thoughts over the last few days, but I've been holding off on sharing them until things settle down a little bit, and I feel comfortable now talking about the situation. So let's go back to Sunday's game and start there. After an absolute disaster on Black Friday, the Jets stuck with Tim Boyle as their starting quarterback, and he had a pretty horrific game against the Atlanta Falcons. Garrett Wilson was running wide open in the Falcons secondary, and Boyle wasn't seeing him. Plus, the throws that he did make were all over the place, and ultimately he ended up getting benched for Trevor Siemian in the fourth quarter, who came in and somehow managed to play even worse than Boyle did, fumbling 3 times, getting sacked a bunch of times, missing some throws, and just providing no spark to a struggling offense. So the Jets ended up losing their 5th game in a row and did not score a touchdown. And was anyone really surprised by this? I know I wasn't. I said in my last video when Zach got benched that nothing was going to change, and in fact it actually got worse without Zach. So after the game, we're all sitting here just kind of thinking, well, I guess the Jets will go back to Zach Wilson and that will be that. Nope, we are not done yet. Monday morning, The Athletic posts an article saying that Zach Wilson is reluctant to start again, and that the team is hopeful that he will change his mind. Then, a couple hours later, Coach Saleh talks to the media and says, well, guess what? Zach just came into my office and told me he wants to play. This creates a big stir. Diana Rossini doubles down on her reporting. Jets fans are now calling for Zach to be cut, and so on and so forth. Now, this whole time I'm sitting here thinking, why is this a story? Anytime a report comes out like this, you wonder who the source is, because clearly someone in the organization leaked this information on purpose. Well, Tuesday rolls around and Aaron Rodgers goes on the Pat McAfee show and defends Zach, sharing some of the same thoughts I was having. He said that whoever leaked the story was trying to assassinate Zach's character. He also said that whoever leaked the story needs to be dealt with, and that it's not something that happens in a winning organization. Meanwhile, right in the middle of this, the Jets cut Tim Boyle and signed Brett Rippon off the Rams practice squad, and that created a whole bunch of other storylines that I won't get into. But needless to say, there was a lot of people curious to hear what Robert Saleh would say this morning in his press conference. Well, Robert Saleh named Zach Wilson the starter and said that Wilson was fired up for the opportunity to get a chance to go back out there for the rest of the season. He said that Zach will be the starter for the rest of the year, God willing. He also said something else that's kind of interesting. He said the team believed all along that Zach Wilson gave them the best chance to win, but they just decided to try Boyle and Siemian to see if it could give the offense a spark. Now, I've heard other people reporting that once Zach got benched, the plan was for him to just sit the rest of the season. And Saleh also said earlier in the season that he wouldn't just change something to change something. So those are just a couple reasons why I thought it was interesting he would say that. But that's where we're at now. Zach Wilson has been named the starter for Sunday's game against the Texans. Zach is going to get a chance to speak to the media after practice today, and I'm very curious to hear what he has to say about this whole fiasco. I'll have my thoughts about his comments in tomorrow's video. Now, for my thoughts about this whole situation. First of all, I think the Jets are right that Zach Wilson gives them the best chance to win. I said that when Rodgers went down, and I've stuck with it. Wilson is the best healthy quarterback on the roster. I also think that Wilson was never the problem with the offense. I actually thought he played pretty well. There were and still are much bigger concerns than quarterback right now. This leads into my next point, which is that I don't really blame Zach for feeling reluctant to step back in as the starter. no one has really come out and denied that Zach Wilson felt that way. So I have reason to assume that what happened is he probably made comments to his teammates about not being very excited to be thrown back into this mess. And then one of them decided to tell the media. So that's pretty messed up to do that. And honestly, I don't see what you have to gain from that besides making Zach look bad. But here we are. Now, the reason I don't blame Zach for feeling that way is that even though he told the media he doesn't feel like he was scapegoated, he's human, and he surely felt like that at least a little bit. It was probably embarrassing to be benched when he knew he wasn't the problem, and it sounds like the organization knew he wasn't the problem as well. He even said it himself to the media that it was frustrating to get benched, but he understood the decision. Now, what I have an issue with is people thinking that Zach refused to play. That would be a problem and should warrant him getting cut. Unfortunately, Zach has a reputation of being an entitled rich kid that has had everything in life handed to him. This was a narrative going into the draft and was not helped when he didn't take accountability last year. The thing is, it's just not true. Zach has worked extremely hard for everything he has and has an incredible work ethic that has been praised by teammates and coaches. And even on Sunday before the game, he was one of the first players out on the field, working on throwing the route tree. He was also one of the first players at the facility on Monday. So while Zach probably felt a little frustrated by everything going on and maybe made some comments about it, there's no way he flat out refused to play. He's not dumb. He knows how bad that would look. Doing that would not only hurt his reputation with the Jets, but would also hurt his ability to sign for another team in the future. So my biggest thing is that this just shouldn't be a story. If he refused to play, that definitely would be, but I'm pretty confident that every quarterback that plays on a bad team has felt some reluctance to play at some point. Like, for example, do you think Bryce Young is excited to go out there and lose a game every week? The only reason this story happened was to tear Zach down and make him look bad. We'll see how the rest of the week plays out and how things go on Sunday, though I hope he's extra motivated and goes out there and lights it up. He was already feeling frustrated for getting benched, and now he's been betrayed by someone in the locker room, so I would love to see him channel that pent-up energy into a big-time performance, kind of like he did against the Chiefs. Anyways, those are my thoughts for today. I'll see you guys in the next video after Zach Wilson gets a chance to talk.